Secretary are writing their English paper today. Education Minister Angie Motshekga is visiting Reiger Park Secondary School in Boksburg to check the school's readiness for the final exams. The department is partnering with law enforcement agencies to secure question papers and answer books and for a smooth distribution and collection of papers. Well, Slindelo Masekane is out and about at school this morning. Slee, what's the minister telling matric pupils as they sit down to write this major paper this morning?
In fact, Minister Motshekga will be speaking to the students just before they sit down for the English paper this morning. As you would know, around 780,000 candidates from across the country will be sitting down for this English paper. And we are here at Reiger Park Secondary School. I'm just going to take you now to the Minister. Thank you for joining us this morning. And of course, English, of course, being a compulsory paper, why is it important for our students to be writing this exam this morning?
It's very important for them, for us as a country. And English is the biggest paper, not necessarily the most important paper. It's just that every learner, it's our language of commerce, it's our language of economy, and it's one of the biggest subjects in terms of numbers. So it's very important, and it's a big day because almost all learners in the country will be writing, except for a few learners, I guess, who perhaps are not taking the full complement of courses, but most of them will be sitting for this paper. So it is a big day because it is a big paper because there are very many learners sitting for English.
Now, of course, last year the pass rate sat at around 75%. What are we looking at this year? Do you think we will get an improvement? And of course, some criticism around the pass rate not really reflecting the way learners are learning, many subject averages being very low for a pass rate.
No, I think those are just newspaper headlines, and it's quite difficult to engage with newspaper headlines because if you look at the history of our exams, we've never had in the history of South African exams a situation where there was no pass at 30%. There've always been an S school leaving. So headlines, if they grab suddenly in 2016 and then Jonathan Johnson runs with the 30%, and they run with the 30%, it's not anything I can really engage with. But the fact of the matter is we've never lowered standards. Actually, Minister Pando raised what we inherited from the past. So it's not true, just newspaper headlines.
And of course, the Eastern Cape still quite at the bottom, sitting around 60% as a pass rate. Have there been measures put in that province in order to improve the learning, the teaching and learning of matric pupils in the Eastern Cape?
Yeah, the late MEC and his staff are led by the SG, Mr. Kojani, and there's also Penny Vinjevald. They've done lots of work. The problem is that even if they improve from a very low base. And doesn't mean that these top performing provinces are sitting and waiting for them. They're also pushing up. So it's difficult for them to bypass, for instance, Gauteng, Western Cape, and the Free State, because they come from a very low base. Last year, they were the most improved system, but they are moving from a very low base, and that's why they remain at the bottom.
Now, we are here at Reiger Park Secondary School, which was rocked by a scandal earlier this year involving the principal. Do you think the learners have been affected? Have they been given the best opportunity for these exams?
No, I think so. I've interacted with this committee in Reiger Park outside education when I was MEC for social development. They're a very organized, very strong community, and I have no doubt that as a committee they would have been able to pull themselves off. Indeed, we have all sorts of difficulties, but they are a very strong community, and I have lots of confidence in the Reiger Park committee per se, and I think they've gone through that, passed it.
And I think South Africans are wondering whether the security of our exam papers this year is up to standard. Will we have any exam leaks?
No, if you look in the past, we've had leaks in Mpumalanga. We closed them completely. Last year, the leaks were only in Limpopo, and we think we have closed them because exam security is very important for us because it really impacts on the integrity of the exams. So we put whatever we can in place to make sure that we don't have leaks. So I'm hoping again that we won't have leaks. But even in the other years when we had leaks, we had not planned for them. So I can't say we won't, but we've done all we could to make sure that we don't have leaks. And I'm really hoping that we'll have a clean exam.
Lastly, on my part, Minister, it could be your last year as a Basic Education Minister. What do you want your exam legacy to be?
Sector legacy more than exam legacy, because I think for me the biggest thing that we have to focus on as a country, if we have to get the dividend we want, it's your foundation, your ECD, and that's really where I'm looking. Not even in the grade 12, because grade 12 is at the end of the system. But it's to really, if I could have achieved anything, is to encourage young person like people like yourself to get their kids to read and encourage them to read. That's what I would want to see, is to get the foundation phase, especially focused, getting those teachers. It's a pity that we had to stop Anna, was to really get the foundation phase moving, because that's the only way we can remedy our system. At grade 12, it's at the end of it all, so what the results are, I'll be happy if they go up, but that's not what I'm going to measure myself with. I'm going to measure myself with the system more than with 1 year's results. I mean, really. And indeed, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. All right, that was Minister Angie Motshekga, who, of course, will be speaking to the matriculants here at Reiger Park to obviously wish them well before the English paper.